you think it kind of looks like S26 Ultra, then you are not wrong. And for the software side, it kind of looks like the latest iOS. So what is it actually? Before I start the video, let's give a quick shout out to Master Plan of Smartphone Gadgets for providing this phone. More about them later in this video, and you can definitely check them out from the links in the description below. So this thing here is the Tecno CAMON 50 Ultra 5G, and it's a 5G smartphone. Last year Tecno didn't launch their 5G smartphones in Bangladesh, but this time they're coming up with that. And we also have seen that POVA series coming out last year, which is pretty nice because that's the flagship series. This is not the flagship series, this is the CAMON series, and these are the mid-range smartphone from Tecno. And if you don't know about it, Tecno is doing really good in the smartphone market like previous few years, and they are the 6th largest manufacturer of smartphone in the world, which is pretty impressive. There is a bunch of smartphones that have been launched under the CAMON series. This particular model is the highest one you can go with the CAMON series. So let's quickly talk about the design and the build quality of this Tecno CAMON 50 Ultra. For the design, I would say this is a pretty unique but not unique kind of design. Like last year with the CAMON 40, in the back they had kind of a signature of a design which they kind of represent this year as well. You can see there's slight hint of this design on the previous year, but they have opted for a camera island instead of that plateau they had in previous years, which looks pretty familiar with the Samsung S26 Ultra, but it is slightly wider, and the device is not that tall, and the phone is 178 gram light. Yeah, it feels pretty good on hand. Even though it kind of looks that it has 4 cameras on the back, it doesn't. It has 3 cameras on the back. The other they have written here is the flicker sensor. That's a skeptic thing. I mean, it's nothing, just a gimmick. I don't know it actually work or not. But the interesting thing here is that they have a tally light or notification light, you want to say, which is kind of useful, and it gives you some hints about the charging status. And while you're recording video, this thing let you know that it's recording, which is kind of useful, I would say. For the front and the back, they've gone for Gorilla Glass 7i, which is nice because it won't get scratched easily, and it's a frosted one which looks really premium on this segment of smartphone. But unfortunately the frame is made out of plastic, which is a fair trade-off. Given that it is not a flagship phone, you're not gonna spend $1,000 for this. This is not curved all around like the Vivo V60. On the top and the bottom is flat, but on the sides it's carved, and from the front and also from the back, which kind of reminds you like the Samsung S7 or S6 Edge, those kind of things. But it's not that sharp on the side, which looks really good, but also it feels really handy on the hand because your hand doesn't like boxier phones, even though all the smartphone brands are going towards that direction because it kind of save your internal spaces. But this kind of design is really good for your hand. For prolonged use cases, this thing is really good. On the left side there is a customizable button, and it's not fully customizable. Like you cannot change the single press function. You can change it the long press function, which you can assign to open some apps. But for the single click, it will do something that is called flash note, I guess. It scans whatever is on your display and makes a note, and it saves that note in Mind Hub. I'll be talking about that in a minute. On the bottom there is the SIM card tray, which can hold up to 2 SIM cards. It also supports eSIM, which is rare to see in this price segment, but they have offered that. That's a thumbs up. And there is a microphone USB-C, which is unfortunately not the fastest USB-C. It is USB 2.2 only, and next to that is the bottom firing speaker. The right side, it has the power button and the volume rockers, and the placement of the buttons are really great. It is right where your thumb rests, and the volume rockers are very reachable. On the top of the phone there is the secondary speaker, Dolby Atmos branding. Next to that is the IR blaster, and next to that is the secondary microphone, which is really good of a setup for the audio. And of course you have the IR blaster. You can control any IR devices on your phone with this smartphone. I have tested it and it works really great, and it's, of course, it comes handy time to time. There is a number of color options to choose from. My review in it is Cypress Green. Yeah, the names are pretty difficult to pronounce. I would name them here, or I will show the colors. Of course you can check them out. Now let's talk about the display. The display is an AMOLED display which support HDR10, and the refresh rate here is 144 Hz, which is not very common in smartphone world, but they're offering it. Is nice. It's only activated when you are playing some games which supports 144 Hz. That's a very nice thing. It's equipped with PWM dimming. If you're wondering what PWM dimming is that when you turn down your brightness of the display, like that time the refresh rate, like it changes such a way that disturbs your normal visual function. So you actually don't get to see it because it happens really fast, but the brain need to process things that misses out. So it kind of causes some headache and some other issues, which is not not really nice, but with PWM dimming you can minimize or dismiss that issue. There is a punch hole cutout on the top which is not very small, but it's less noticeable. I have seen smaller punch holes than this, but this is acceptable. This is IP68 and IP69K supported. That means you are good from high pressure jets, and you can submerge this phone up to 2 meters for 30 minutes. There's not a lot of phone that provides this kind of protection, so that's thumbs up for Tecno. I have already mentioned that this has a triple camera setup. It has a 50 megapixel main sensor which comes with OIS and pixel dependent autofocus, and the sensor size is alright. It sits on 23 millimeter, which is 1 millimeter wider than most of the smartphone market that offers on the main sensor. There is a 50 megapixel telephoto lens which sits at 70 millimeter focal length, I mean full frame focal length equivalent, and the sensor size is smaller here. There is also a 8 megapixel ultra wide sensor, which is nice to see, but 8 megapixel is really not great actually for any kind of camera. The sensor size is tiny compared to rest of the two sensor we have here. We do also have a 50 megapixel selfie camera, which will be coming in a minute. Before we check the image sample and video sample, let's take a look at some camera features up here. There is all the basic camera features you can find on any smartphone camera app. They're present here, but there are some extra features which are kind of network dependent, so that's not a very nice thing to see, but they are really cool, like the AI art gallery where you can put some artistic style on your photos. Somewhat the main photo mode is called AI cam. I don't know why they name it. They are doing it for years actually, but it kind of sounds gimmicky. And also the gallery app is called AI gallery. I don't know why they do that, but it's there. Let's take a look at some photo and video samples coming out of this phone. Photos coming out of the main sensor is really great, and sensor size is good enough, and the photos coming out of here has good details. But in terms of computational photography, I mean processing the image after and giving it a certain look, I think Tecno is kind of behind from like other big dogs in the market. Definitely during the daytime where there is plenty of light from the sun, the photos looks really crisp and good, and of course it has OIS, so you'll get sharper photos. On the night time from the main sensor you can pull out decent photos. I would say the colors are good enough for the night scenes, and of course there is a dedicated night mode which can work really good for the nighttime scenarios. And for the main sensor, I would say you are sorted out. It's good enough, and I like the way the photos come out of from this main sensor. There's also a 50 megapixel telephoto sensor which takes photos at 70 millimeter, and it's pretty zoomed in. And on the daytime I've seen that the photos coming out of the telephoto sensors are really good, even though the sensor is very small. It is a 50 megapixel sensor, and there's plenty of sharpness out there. You can work around with that. Actually Tecno has worked around with that, and you can basically zoom this thing up to 100 times, which is kind of a gimmick, because at 100 times the sharpness is not near as good as some Samsung flagships. I have seen that if you zoom beyond 10 times zoom, it's not that sharp enough, but till 10 times if you have good light, the photos are kind of usable. Obviously it gets benefited from having a 50 megapixel sensor, but it's all digital, so you can definitely slap a 1000 times zoom out of it, whatever it is. But I'm happy with the output from the telephoto lens during the daytime and in good lighting conditions. At the night time the telephoto shots are not that great because it's a smaller sensor and the aperture is not that great as well. So when you're taking photos in the low light, the telephoto kind of suffers, and this is going to introduce a significant amount of noise, so you might not like to use it in bad lighting conditions. The ultra wide is just 8 megapixel, but the photos, if you are not pixel peeping, the photos coming out of this during bright lighting condition like on the daylight is good, but the nighttime it suffers horribly, so you cannot actually use the ultra wide camera during the nighttime, so keep it in mind. One positive thing is that all the three cameras matches color during daytime, so if you're taking multiple shots at different focal lengths, then the colors are going to match, and if you like the main sensor, you're gonna like the rest two as well. So that's the thumbs up for that, because many Chinese manufacturers suffer in this case. The color doesn't match in different lenses, but this time in this phone they have nailed it. The color matches. For video you can shoot 4K videos up to 30 FPS with the main sensor and the telephoto sensor, but you cannot shoot 4K on the ultra wide sensor, which is fair enough, because to be able to record 4K videos you need at least 12 megapixel. The ultra wide doesn't have that, so they didn't like. But man, the image stabilization on the main sensor is, the image looks stable. The color coming out of this phone is really good. I like the video, the sharpness and everything. You can check out the sample coming out of this. The 50 megapixel selfie camera takes decent selfies and it is really wide, and you can fit a lot of people with the selfies with this phone, which is pretty nice. But I don't know why if you switch to the selfie camera, it automatically switches to the portrait camera. The edge detection is not that great on this portrait camera, so that's a thing to consider, and there is a hustle. You have to switch back to the normal mode if you want to take good selfies with this phone. But as I mentioned, the selfie camera is really wide and it's a 50 megapixel sensor, so there's good enough sharpness. It does smoothen out its face a bit, which many people may like or may not be. The speakers on this phone is really loud and they're clear. They have plenty of bass, and you should not have any complaints about the speaker. This sounds really good. Take a look at the sample coming off this thing. Dimensity 83050 Apex. I don't know what the Apex means. It's based on 4 nanometer processes and it's a beast of a chipset. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, that is the MediaTek Dimensity 7400 Ultimate, which is based on 4 nanometer processes, which is nice because it must be efficient. Let's take a look at the benchmark score. For the Geekbench, I have seen that the score is respectable. It falls on the typical mid-range category, so nothing exceptional or mind-blowing out there. It will do the job. For the performance thing, it is slightly behind the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, but it's a bit weak on the graphics side. I have done the 3D Mark Wildlife and the Wildlife Extreme test, and you can see the scores on the screen obviously. For the graphics side, I would say it's kind of weak, so if you're planning to game on this thing, this is not for like serious gaming. You are doing casual gaming and moderate gaming, that kind of scenario, it can fit perfectly. But obviously the graphic unit is not that strong, so don't try to play any AAA titles on this phone. But no matter what, the thermals are really good. I've done the CPU throttling test and it held up really good. It doesn't sweat at all, and you don't feel the heat actually, which is surprising. I have done like benchmarking, then after that I gamed for a while, and I've done the CPU stress test as well, so in that scenarios it didn't sweat actually. I mean, it doesn't get hot. They have obviously placed a vapor chamber inside, which works really great, and for the thermals thing, I am really impressed. The fingerprint sensor sits kind of lower, which I'm not a big fan of, but unfortunately I couldn't test it because it's an engineering unit, so they didn't allow me to set a fingerprint and test this thing out. But I have seen other reviewers, it is fast and snappy, but the position is really not great. For the battery side, it has 6500 milliamps battery. My app is saying it's a lithium-ion battery, but I'll definitely check. If it's a silicon carbon, I'll mention it here around. But the battery life on this phone is really good, and given that the chipset is not that power hungry, it's kind of efficient, so you are sorted with the battery. You can give it a day, no worries. And of course, for the charging side, this thing comes with a 45-watt charger in the box, which charges this thing not very rapidly, but it's fast enough. And talking about the box, I have to mention something, that this thing comes with a case which looks really nice and feels really nice, and you also get a official glass protector from Tecno with everything that requires to install that glass protector on your phone, which is really nice. Now let's talk about the software. Out of the box, this thing comes with iOS 16 based on Android 16, and it's promised to have 3 major software updates, which is really not that impressive on the current market situation because most of the phones are offering much longer than 3 years. For the first look, if you see the UI, you kind of feel like the latest iOS. As I mentioned earlier, the liquid glass thing is here, but it's a very common thing in the Chinese manufacturers. Many of the manufacturers have offered this kind of thing, the liquid glass kind of thing. It's not exactly the liquid glass that is present on the latest iOS, but it kind of gives you that feeling, which is, I would say, isn't that bad. It's everywhere, like the home screen, the quick setting panel, and on the settings as well. The UI is really smooth, the animations are really great. I like them, thumbs up for that. There's a bunch of AI features, which is really nice, and you can use all your favorite AI within the AI agent present on this phone, which is kind of interesting because otherwise you have to pay a subscription or something like that. But with Tecno CAMON 50 Ultra, you can get this within the AI agent app, which is called Ella, and Ella can be your personal assistant. It can do a lot of stuff. You can use your phone hands-free and it gives you that power. So Ella is really nice. You can talk to it, which most AI agent does. Of course, there is AI editing, the basic things that most of the smartphone offers. It does it right. So for the software side, I think it's much more mature, and the offerings are really good on this phone. So I'm happy with that. This phone is priced as this much money on Master Planet of Smartphone Gadgets. And talking about Master, they're a group of smartphone shop located at the 3rd floor of Satyakan complex in Kumilla. No matter which smartphone you need, they have all of the brands covered. So to buy your next smartphone for the best price, visit Master Planet of Smartphone Gadgets from the 3rd floor of Satyakan complex in Kumilla. And thanks for providing the smartphone for this review. So So what are my final thoughts about this Tecno CAMON 50 Ultra? I think it's a decent phone. They have checked all the boxes for a good phone, and yes, I do recommend Tecno CAMON 50 Ultra for the people who are moderate to a bit heavy user, and this thing of course not for gaming, and if you have priority for camera, I think this is not for you. So that's all about the Tecno CAMON 50. I'll see you soon with some interesting videos. Till then, stay good, and keep doing incredible things. And yes, of course, keep watching Incredible Victor.